Rev up your engines! All right, the Pontiac Vibe. Here's one this lady just bought, and she got it from a little old lady in Ontario. It's only got 80,000 kilometers on it now. She bought it last year, so she got a great deal with that low mileage. Now, ironically enough, this was purchased from Ontario, but it was made in California, in that Fairmont factory where they make Teslas now. Yet, my wife's 2007 Matrix was made in Cambridge, Ontario. So there's some weird vibes going on here. Now the Vibe is a year newer. You can see it's got a little different body style on it. They made a snazzier body style on the Pontiacs. They were assembled in California. It was a joint deal between GM and Toyota. So when you go on the hood, it is a Toyota Corolla 1.8 liter engine that came from Japan. Toyota automatic transmission that came from Japan. She changed the headlights herself to make them look better because they were faded. She didn't want to polish them. But if you look at one of these, first thing you want to look at is here. Here's the engine size, 1.8 liter. Okay, that's what you want. These phenomenal engines. It's the same engine that's in my wife's. Gets great gas mileage, can basically run forever. That's the engine that you want in these things. Now, it's a Canadian car. It's in Quebec now. It started in Ontario. So, you're going to see a lot of superficial rust. But at the same time, these things were rust preventative for the most part. Quite well. You can see it's not rotten anywhere. And you got to consider, my wife spent its life in Texas and Tennessee where they didn't use salt on the road. This thing came from Canada where they use salt all the time. She just changed these and she got them from a Toyota Corolla. Originally they were called Toyota Corolla Matrixes. Almost all the parts are interchangeable with Toyota Corollas. Now, people always say, is it really a Toyota Matrix or is it a Pontiac Vibe? Well, it is a Pontiac Vibe because it was made in California. And that factory had all kinds of problems. It was rated as one of the worst factories in the world where the workers were getting drunk, assembly line, I mean, they had all kinds of problems. GM shut it down. But then when they reopened it, it was a deal between Toyota and GM. Pontiac, same difference. They're not quite as well made as the Matrixes. The Canadians do a better job building them. But for all intents and purposes, they're about the same vehicle. The bodies are a little fancier on the Pontiacs. As you can see, look at this. This thing's got a Delco alternator because it's Pontiac GM. My wife's Matrix has a Nippon Denso alternator, Japanese one. They both work. I mean, you can get these a lot cheaper than you can the Matrixes just because GM has a bad name. Look inside and we'll see. This is a low mileage baby. Okay, it's 85,418. But that's not miles, that's kilometers, because check out speedometer. There's no way this thing would go 200 miles an hour. It goes 200 kilometers an hour, which is 120 miles an hour. Okay, it's a Toyota, so everything works. The AC works. Now, you see, she changed the radio. She wanted to put a fancy, and I don't blame her. I did the same thing in my wife's. I put in a pumpkin Android. Toyota, turn the key, you know it's gonna start. And the engine sounds great because there hardly any miles on it, even though it's an 08. That's the thing. If you can find a little old lady's car for sale, hey, buy it. These things were not rust buckets. It's not rusting out, right? If this had been a Ford or a Chrysler or a GM, odds are it'd be a rust bucket by now. This is a Toyota Pontiac consortium made in California. They rust coated them pretty good. It is not a rust bucket. She put seat covers on it. The seats will eventually wear out, but you can see the back seats, they're still pretty good shape. And being a Matrix, you get a reasonable amount of space. You got all this, and then just like my wife's, you can dump the seats down, you can do whatever you want, you can carry all kinds of stuff, electric bicycles, whatever you want. These things are really well designed for carrying people and anything that you want to bring when you fold the seats down. Now we get our big all-tail unit out here. See what kind of shape this thing in. I don't expect any problems because it hardly has any miles on it. So here we go. We're going to do standalone diagnosis. We don't need to record any of this. Check all the scans. That's a little fancier than my wife's Matrix. They made the Pontiacs look a little snazzier. Same basic setup, but they're a little snazzier looking inside. See, a bunch of the important stuff is all green, and there's a few codes now. The tire pressure monitor, well, you know, they just wear out over time. Not getting data from all four wheels. We really don't care. The wheels have been changed. Tire pressure gauge works fine, so we don't care. What they have is for the airbag We'll see what that is. History of P-squib circuit open. That's so many recalls on these Takata airbags. These things make your head spin. If you want to fix this, you're going to spend some serious money if they don't fix it free under the recall. So if you do have a car like this, what you do is you get your VIN number, you call up the dealer, and you say, has this thing been fixed under the recall for the airbags? They can say yes or no. If it's no, they got to fix it for free. So for the time being, we'll erase these. If that's a flaw or not, we'll start her up. Go to main data for the engine and transmission. Data, here we go. Now we'll see what kind of shape everything's in. Dun, 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 dun. There'll be a lot of information, even though it's older. It's just a lot. Got long-term fuel trim. It's subtracting 4%. When these things are old and they sit a long time, a lot of times they'll run a little bit rich. For me in age, I'd say put some of Bernie's fuel injector cleaner in it. It'd probably clear that right up. It's running perfectly fine, but if you wanted it to run better, I'd put some cleaner in because this thing hasn't been driven much over all the years. Mass airflow sensor spot on. Okay, the misfire monitor is completed. It doesn't have misfires. Now you can see time after DTC cleared was 1574 minutes. Well, she watches my videos, got a cheap scan tool herself, found out she had a bad ignition coil, replaced it, it runs fine and it's fixed, and it shows you that that was that many minutes ago that she replaced the coil. She did it herself. Electronically controlled transmission, gives you all the throttle information for the electronic throttle. Here's the oil temperature for the automatic transmission and all the transmission data, all the variable valve timing data. It's all normal. The engine speed of all the cylinders are exactly the same. On their misfire counts, they're all 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, because she fixed the coil. It was misfire and she fixed that. See, she installed this new one and it's got a decent backup camera too. Look, you can see my wife's Matrix right there. No, it is same as a Matrix, so it goes over the big bump with no problems at all. And as we go over the bumps, I predict it'll be just like my wife's Matrix. And it is. They ride perfectly fine, but they have a somewhat bumpy ride to them because basically they got a motorcycle type suspension in the back, which handles quite well. They're very good handling vehicles. But when you get on bumpy roads, the ride's a bit off. On a highway where it's smooth, no. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just the design of the car. So just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's almost lunchtime again. People are driving everywhere. They gotta eat around here. People eat a lot on the East Coast. But like I say, idling smooth, super smooth, doesn't matter. That's an older car. It's only got 85,000 kilometers on it. We have an opening. Here we go. And we'll step on the gas. It's just like my wife's Matrix. It makes a reasonable amount of noise, and it has good acceleration. A lot of people whine that these are too slow, but they really aren't. They have variable valve timing that Toyota makes quite well. It is a Toyota engine. They're plenty zipping up. Step on the gas, they start to accelerate. You know, they're not race cars. They're just great little utility vehicles for driving around in. She was lucky she found from a little old lady. Didn't have many miles on it. In Ontario. And away we go again. Smooth engine, smooth shifting, 4-speed transmission. Basically, it's a Pontiac version of my wife's Matrix. It's a year newer, and the body's a little snazzier. The interior's a little snazzier. The windshield wipers are a bit bigger. I guess Americans need more view than the Japanese. Being a Matrix, it goes over this big bump with no scraping or grabbing. And there's my wife's car, the Toyota version. So there you have it. Now you know what a Pontiac Vibe is. It's basically a Toyota Matrix that was made in California by a GM Toyota consortium where Toyota pretty much backed out of the whole deal. They didn't like what was happening with the labor and union labor, and then Toyota just pulled the plug. And of course, they pulled the plug on both of these cars. They stopped making these in 2010, which is when Tesla took over the factory and they started doing Teslas there. And then a couple years later, they stopped making the Matrixes in Ontario, in Cambridge, Ontario, and they only made Lexuses there then. They wanted to make more profit. Now the Toyota Matrix is basically the Toyota Corolla hatchback. They didn't bring back the Matrix name, but that's what it is. You know, they're excellent cars. If you could ever find one like this with this low mileage, let me tell you, snap it up. Because if you get tired of it, somebody else will take it off your hands, probably for more than what you paid for it. Or if you wanted a second car, keep it forever. These things can run forever. They're just a compact utility vehicle as a Toyota Corolla in disguise, you know. Excellent vehicle. Hey, you find one with low miles like this from a little old lady, snap it up, even though it's a Pontiac. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.